Hey all, thanks so much for listening to The Wild. If you're enjoying the first few episodes of Season 7, there's more where that came from. Head on over to our Patreon. For a few bucks a month, we've got exclusive content, extended interviews with your favourite guests, the Wild Side conversations where I chat with my friend Ken about what it's like to make The Wild, and so much more. The link to Patreon is in the show notes. Thank you. Enjoy the show.
Well, yeah, we can get to the nest over here this way.
Okay, cool. I'm with Dr. Harold Greene on the outskirts of Tucson in southern Arizona. We're walking up an arroyo, a dry riverbed, just off a residential road.
There's actually a pair of vireos building a nest right here.
Is that what the sound is?
Yeah, that's what who's singing in the background there.
I like the song of the vireos, but right now I am fixated on finding a hummingbird nest. Harold is a bird nest expert, and he's agreed to show me a couple of sites a few minutes from where he lives. We stepped through the crispy leaves between mesquite trees and other scrubby plants. It's a thorny, untidy-looking landscape, but it's the type of habitat hummingbirds love for nest building. It comes with some very useful advantages. One of them is long, thin mesquite branches.
As one of the major predators here are snakes on the hummingbird babies and eggs. Snakes tend to go out a branch until it starts to droop so far that they're just going to slide out the end. And so being way at the tip of a droopy branch like that means the snake can't quite get to your nest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hummingbirds are some of the world's most beautiful and most loved life forms. They've mesmerized me since I moved to the States nearly 30 years ago. Cloaked in iridescent feathers, their wings can beat 70 times a second, their hearts over 1,000 times a minute. They can fly backwards, sideways, even upside down. Some of them migrate across countries, feeding on nectar and pollinating plants as they buzz across the landscape. And these little birds manage to do all of this in some of the world's harshest places, like the mountains and deserts of Arizona.
They're already living on the physiological edge of life, right? I mean, they're barely scraping along, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that they're playing their cards perfectly to not, get overstressed. They have the ability to hover. They're tiny, but they, subsist off mostly sugar and some insects.
Biologists describe hummingbirds as living on the metabolic edge. They burn so much energy that they have to consume their own body weight in nectar every day. Every calorie counts. We finally spot a nest.
Look, it's right in front of us.
Right
See, now look at that. I think that speaks to the...
It looks like a little bit of mossy grass caught in the branches, but there's way more to it than that. There's no one home, so it gives us a chance to get a good look.
Oh my God,
the opening of the nest at the top is about the size of a blueberry. The cup is just big enough for the tip of my pinky finger.
Just at the right height, and there it is.
Yeah.
This exquisite little egg cup.
Yeah.
This little egg cup is where life for the world's smallest bird begins. Over the last 20 million years, hummingbirds have figured out a lot of stuff, from where to build a nest to how to thrive across vast, challenging landscapes. But their world is rapidly changing, and even something as quick as a hummingbird might struggle to keep up. I'm in the desert of Arizona to find out more about this tiny but tough little bird. How they manage to survive in such a harsh environment, the threats they're facing, and the ingenious ways they're learning to adapt. So join me as I literally come eye to eye with dozens of these acrobatic marvels. After you've had one in your hand and fed it the sugar water it needs to thrive, you're never quite the same. From KUOW in Seattle and Chris Morgan Wildlife, welcome to The Wild. Are we in rattlesnake country here?
We are, yeah. When I'm doing a little bit more off-trail exploring, I wear chaps.
Not far from our first little hummingbird nest is something extra special that Harold scouted out and found before we arrived.
But it's right on the edge of the golf course, so you might have some people talking occasionally, but
No
otherwise
problem.
it's pretty quiet. Golfers don't tend to be a rowdy bunch.
Harold knows his birds and his bird nests. He's studied the nesting behaviour of more than 500 bird species and counting. In his work as an ecologist, he's found and documented close to 1,000 different kinds of nests, and he's published scores of academic articles on the topic. He's the guru of bird bedrooms. Right next to the 8th hole of the golf course, there's a large tree. Harold points to the end of a skinny branch just above head height and asks if I can see the nest.
Oh, I think I
Based on-
see it.
yeah.
It's a bit higher than I was
Yeah, a bit
thinking,
higher,
but right
yeah.
there.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
And inside is a surprise.
Oh, this one is kind of hanging a bit more.
So it's, this one is sort of hanging
Oh, I
more.
see
and
the
it's-
head of the
And the baby has started to stretch it a little more.
In the nest is a featherless baby broad-billed hummingbird. It's about the size of a peanut M&M. I can just see its beak and eyes poking out the top. We've found a spot where hummingbirds are breeding. A lot of the 17 species of hummingbirds you might see in Arizona only use this state as a stopover. It lies conveniently between their wintering grounds in Central America and their breeding grounds in the northern US and Canada. The journey stretches more than 2,000 miles. Just like us on a long road trip, they need good places to refuel.
Migration is often timed for many species with the flowering of certain desert plants, which are very abundant flowers, like the ocotillos flower right during hummingbird migration, or vice versa. The hummingbirds migrate right as the ocotillo.
Oh, they're following that unfolding path of food.
Yeah, exactly.
Those flowers open up across the landscape as the weather warms, like a royal carpet rolled out for a visiting queen. Hummingbirds follow the unfolding path, sucking up nectar from the flowers. This pathway of food is known as the nectar landscape, and it's essential for hummingbird survival. And in an almost poetic arrangement, the hummingbirds help the nectar landscape by pollinating the plants as they visit them, ensuring the next generation of flowers to feed on. The hummingbirds also take advantage of mountains in the middle of the desert as they migrate along the nectar landscape. The mountains are called sky islands and are a bit cooler and wetter than the hot valleys below. So hummingbirds can often find plants in bloom here when everything else has dried out on the hot flats. A lot of the hummingbirds in Arizona are migrating through to somewhere else, but the nest in front of us is home to a broad-billed hummingbird family that stays here and breeds in Arizona. And it's probably not the first time the parents have stopped right here.
So they have a good memory for where it is. You know, some of the species will put their new nest a year later, within millimeters of the same, and sometimes there is a bit of the old nest still left over there. And so you've got a little tiny ring, which is the only thing left of the hummingbird nest. But they will literally start with that ring and build up their nest.
How far may they have flown over the course of
Thousands
the year?
of kilometers, yeah.
And then sent back to
come
the
back
same
to the
few
exact
millimeters
same, yeah.
of the planet.
The nest is exquisite, and it's painstakingly built, one careful step at a time by the parents.
What she does is she starts out with just something fuzzy, and most often in this area it's like cottonwood fuzz or sycamore fuzz, some plant willow that creates some sort of downy or fuzzy thing. If there's animal hair like a rabbit or something like that, she'll take that too. It's usually stuff that comes in bunches, that she can pick up a mouthful and carry back. So she starts out by just putting a few scraps down, and then to get those scraps to adhere, she goes and gets spiderweb. And this has always amazed me because they literally pluck it strand by strand. She'll find a spiderweb and she'll just go in and pluck, 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 pluck. So then she goes back and she carefully smears that all over the fuzz and pokes her bill like a sewing machine in and out through the fuzz, and really just, creates a nice bond between the spiderwebs and the pad, and that forms her little nubbin, I always call it in my notes.
After she's got the little nubbin base built, she looks for other materials like feathers and lichens to start creating a soft cup. And remember, all in a space hardly big enough for a baked bean.
But she's also at this early stage bringing in long, stringy bits of, pine needles or strips of leaf, or see this, what I call a skirt. Yeah,
I
this
see,
is
yeah.
a skirt. She's brought in all of this, or most of this stuff.
What purpose is that?
So this adds to, it breaks up the outline of the nest. So it's no longer this perfect little cup at the end of a branch. It now takes on the more kind of random stuff caught on a branch form.
Oh, it's camouflage.
Right? Yeah, it's camouflage. It's breaking up the outline of the nest.
God, there's a lot
it's
going
really,
on in this square inch right
yeah,
here.
oh yeah.
But as much as the delicate beauty of the nest, it's the science that drives Harold. And like all real estate, it's about location, location, location. A few years ago, Harold was walking through a forest and he noticed that there were places where he saw 20, 30, even 40 nests. But then, for the next half mile, there were none. Then suddenly, he'd see another cluster of nests.
Notice that in the middle, or close to the center of each of these clusters of hummingbird nests, was a hawk nest.
Oh.
And I thought, wow, that's strange. Why would you want to nest near a bird predator? This is a Cooper's hawk, which is specifically a predator of other birds.
Luckily, hummingbirds don't have much to fear from a Cooper's hawk. In a dogfight, a hummingbird's ability to quickly zip backwards and sideways leaves the larger Cooper's hawk in the dust. So they're not on the hawk's menu.
So I always tell people, if the Cooper's hawk were yawning and a hummingbird flew in, they would certainly eat it. But otherwise, it's more they're going to burn more calories trying to catch a hummingbird.
Harold dug deeper. There was another bird here that is a threat to the hummingbirds. The Mexican jay, rambunctious characters that eat hummingbird eggs. Harold started recording the jay's movements and how often they raided hummingbird nests to see if they were influencing where the hummingbirds were nesting in clusters. He noticed something very interesting. The jays stayed away from the areas that had hawk nests because hawks do eat jays.
So the hawk is a sit-and-wait predator. It sits near the top of a tree, waits for the jay, an unsuspecting jay to be below it, and it swoops down and grabs a jay.
So the jays have learned to keep well away from the hawks. Next, Harold looked at where the hummingbirds' nests were and found a cone-shaped zone of safety below each hawk's nest.
So then I remeasured success of the hummingbirds. Are you inside the cone of safety or are you outside?
He crunched the numbers to try and get statistical proof.
So regardless of how far you are from the hawk nest, are you inside the cone? The results of that were just mind-boggling. It was sort of like 5% success versus 75 or 80% success.
Oh.
And that sort of difference is just spectacular for someone trying to do statistics or figure this out.
Meaning 80% of the hummingbird eggs that were located under hawks' nests survived, and only 5% survived if they didn't have a hawk overhead. The hawks keep the jays away, and the hummingbirds can nest safely. It's called a protective nesting relationship. Thank you very much, hawks. I'm peering at the chick in the nest, thinking about all this. This structure isn't cup-shaped, but it's a hanging sack. It's camouflaged with bits of grass and moss. Looks like a tiny fuzzy hammock moving around in the hot breeze. It started to droop from the weight of the baby.
My guess is that this is a younger female who hasn't really perfected the art of nest making. So this nest has already started to stretch much more than it should at this
Okay, it's
point.
looking a bit baggy.
It's looking a bit baggy, and it's tipping forward like this. So a well-built nest will stretch laterally, but won't this one is sort of leaning forward while it's stretching.
He thinks the baby is only 10 or 11 days old.
It's like smaller than a match head, the beak. And I'll try and get a closer look in a minute, but for now it's just the most exquisite thing, seeing this beak stretching skyward. What is it waiting for Mum to come back?
It's waiting, yeah.
The chick is waiting to be fed. Mum is out scouring part of the nectar landscape nearby, gathering all the sugars she can from flowers. She also uses incredible flying skills to catch insects, a bit of protein for her chick. Harold has watched a hummingbird attack a swarm of flying gnats, making swoop after swoop, grabbing them in her beak with surgical precision.
Was it Karate Kid where he had to catch the fly with chopsticks? Right? I mean, think of it. It's exactly that. I mean, it's not even like that. I mean, it's exactly that, right? So, because everything's even scaled down. It's a hummingbird bill is smaller than chopsticks, but these gnats are literally like barely visible to the human eye.
Yeah.
And they're out there, snap, 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 one after another.
Amazing.
After she's collected enough food, she flies back to the nest and regurgitates it for her young. She sticks her full-size beak into the chick's mouth.
The best way to describe it in 2 words, I guess, sword swallowing. The baby gapes open its mouth and she takes this amazingly long bill, and I've watched it in slow motion, I've watched it from different angles. I can't understand how the bill is not coming out the backside of the baby. She leans over and you can see her throat pumping like vomiting movement.
Jamming every calorie into the tiny chick, rapid fire. Harold says it's a fast and pretty violent looking maneuver.
Especially when the babies are like size of a raisin. I don't understand how she's not spearing them. But she's not. I've never seen one die from mommy feeding.
It's quick for a reason. There are deadlines for a fledgling chick. They'll leave the nest in 3 to 4 weeks, so to get ready for that, they need plenty of food and fast. The mom has to make good use of the available nectar and the insects while they last. As we chat, we keep an eye out for Mum coming back with another bellyful of food for the chick.
There she is. I just saw her. Oh, is that her?
Oh, she probably fed and left, yeah.
Just came right past us.
Yeah. She just came right off the nest, I think.
Oh, cool.
So we probably didn't see her. She probably came in. They tend to come in slowly, check in the scene around the nest to make sure nothing's there, and then land on the nest. But when they leave, they're just off to the next.
She was on a mission.
She was on a mission. She's off to the next destination.
Well, that feels good that we didn't keep her away from it.
Everything has to line up in these 3 or 4 weeks. The cottonwood fuzz must be ready, the hawks need to be there, the bugs must be hatched, the flowers blooming, the nectar needs to be flowing. This delicate bird lives in an intricate balance with its surroundings, so the timing of the seasons is crucial. But that timing is starting to shift as climate change is altering the patterns for plants and hummingbirds. After the break, I joined some scientists who are capturing and tracking hummingbirds across the nectar landscape. They're trying to better understand the perils the hummingbirds are facing in this changing environment. It's a race against the clock to help them survive. Hey wildlings, before we get back to the episode, I want to come on and give a shout out to some of our patrons who've been with us for years on the Patreon platform, including Susan M., Brian S., Donna C., Julia R., Eric P., and David K. Thank you. You can find this growing community along with bonus content, chats, and more at my Patreon account. There's a link in the show notes of this episode. I hope you can check it out. Okay, let's get back to the hummingbirds. Enjoy the show.
Okay, so I'm just going to start like I do with every new volunteer.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
This is so cool. I'm going to be handling hummingbirds?
Potentially.
Oh, if I pass the test.
The sun hasn't broken over the horizon yet, and I'm standing on the edge of a small woodland with Dr. Susan Wethington. Susan is founder of the Hummingbird Monitoring Network, and I'm here to help her with fieldwork for the day. But first, Susan gently places 2 small metal balls in the palm of my hand.
So just roll them around in my hand like that?
Uh-huh.
Hummingbirds need to be handled very precisely and very gently. So Susan's given me a dexterity test.
And if you can go the other direction, that's even better. Do you play a musical? See, these 2 fingers have to be taught how to turn.
I see, yeah. I played drums, but that probably isn't helping right now.
These delicate birds can weigh as little as 2 grams. Their bones are like tiny toothpicks. So Susan has to be sure that my hammer hands are gentle enough.
Well, whatever keeps your hands moving.
Yeah.
I passed the test. I've officially made the capture team. I can tell there's no tolerance for error with Susan. The pressure is on not to mess up.
Well, we'll put you to work.
Excellent.
I've met Susan here in the Chiricahua Mountains at the Southwestern Research Station, a couple of hours east of Tucson, because it's a hot spot. Several of the 17 species of hummingbirds found in Arizona are right here. It's 4:30 in the morning, and Susan's in a hurry to be ready for the hummingbird rush hour.
Things aren't set up the way I expected.
Yes, no worries.
As she sets up a bottle of sugar water to attract today's birds, she tells me that several things come together in this area for a hummingbird.
The reason why Arizona And the Southwest, New Mexico, and Western Texas have the highest diversity in the United States and Canada is because we are fortunate to have what I call range expansion species.
Range expansion is when individuals at the edge of their home ranges extend into another area in search of resources. It's like Arizona is at the center of a giant Venn diagram. The Rockies meet the Sierra Madres. Several deserts are nearby, the Chihuahuan, Sonoran, and Mojave. And this mix means a lot of plant diversity, so lots of food for a hummingbird. The result is a colourful sounding cast of hummingbird characters. The blue-throated mountain gem, the Rivoli's hummingbird, the black-chinned, the broad-tailed, and the broad-billed hummingbird, just to name a few. With all this species overlap, it's easy to see why Susan's monitoring program is important. For the last 23 years, she and her volunteers have banded thousands of hummingbirds. Every bird becomes a little flying data source for her to learn from, to create a record of their movements. Then, when they're captured somewhere else in their range, she can plot their travel. This allows her to understand how climate change impacts these hummingbird populations. There's a lot of data crunching involved. It makes sense. Susan tells me she used to be a computer programmer at IBM, but made a midlife career switch to become a biologist. She collects as much data as quickly as possible in several different locations, like this one, across the nectar landscape. When hummingbirds don't show up somewhere you expect them to be, it probably means their food has gone missing. It could be habitat loss, but these days climate change is a huge factor. It's making plants disappear from some places and reappear somewhere else.
They're leaving potential gaps in having nectar available in a region. And so the gap is, there's a time of year where there's no longer flowers with nectar to feed your pollinators. And the question becomes, how adaptable is the movement patterns of hummingbirds to change to meet the changes that are occurring with their food source, their nectar food source?
And that's where the nectar landscape comes in.
Yeah, because, they live across the landscape, and birds move across the landscape, and that now that we're having changes in our climate, we're seeing that there are some times where there's just not nectar available for the pollinators.
So Susan is mapping the nectar landscape and figuring out where birds are thriving and where they're not. That will help her and other scientists determine if it's a species as a whole that's struggling, or if the gaps in the nectar landscape is just a local issue. Catching and tagging birds, like we're going to today, is the only way to gather that kind of data. Susan's short a couple of people on her crew today, so I've jumped right in with 4 or 5 other folks. Retirees from Tucson, PhD researchers from Princeton. The anticipation is building. Susan needs to have everything ready to go by sunrise at 5:30 a.m. to follow her scientific protocol. She's been busily setting up a table with a spread of miniature instruments, calipers, tiny weighing scales, and some crimping tools for applying numbered ID bands to tiny legs. Hummingbirds are already zipping all around us. They seem as excited as we are to get things underway. About 20 yards from the processing table, there's a hummingbird capture system. A tall stand, about 6 feet high, with a bottle of sugar water hanging from it with a red base, like the ones you see on a regular hummingbird feeder. Above the bottle is a very thin mesh net. So what are you doing here? This looks like a lobster trap, not a bird trap.
Yeah, I mean, we consider it kind of like fishing, right? There's fishing line involved.
This is Dr. Ben Hogan from Princeton, working alongside Susan for the day. His work focuses on hummingbird vision, and both of their projects start with capturing hummingbirds. They've set up this system to be as stress-free for the birds as possible. The net above the feeder is attached to a long fishing line, so a bird comes in to feed on the sugar water, and a person at the other end of the line, 20 yards away, releases a clip, which frees the line, drops the net, and presto, catches the bird. Only about 30 seconds go by and Ben nudges me.
Do me a favour and pull that clip off.
Pull it off? Okay.
There you go. You just caught 2 hummingbirds.
Oh my God, they were already on there. Wow.
Yeah, we don't wait around. So I'll show you what the job is at this point.
Okay.
2 birds already. Ben shows me how to handle them. He gently lifts one edge of the net and slips his hand inside. I've never seen a hummingbird this close before. It's even more beautiful when you can see all the colourful details.
Oh, it looks so much brighter.
Well, actually, yeah, before I catch it, look at its gorget, the patch on its neck.
Yeah. Oh,
Do you see that purple, like, iridescence?
Yes.
That's
the sign of a male.
Yeah.
Of the black-chinned hummingbird.
Exactly.
Ben follows the bird with his hand around the inside of the trap and grabs it.
Oh, nicely done.
You say that. It's a game of patience sometimes.
He carefully places the bird into a mesh bag and gives it to Susan at the processing table. Now it's my turn to get the other one. I reach into the net, make a cup shape with my hand.
Oh, it's amazing the amount of wind coming off their wings. I can feel it on my hand. Oh yeah, you made this look easy, Ben.
After a few failed attempts, I corner the bird and got it. It's so delicate I can hardly feel it in my fingers.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah. And then they'll often just grab on and you can just coax them. Exactly.
Okay.
Alright, good job. This is the other
That's
way
the
around
open end,
here.
is it? Okay. Oh, I got a hummingbird in my hand. That is magical.
Okay, now to catch as many as possible in the 5-hour window of Susan's research protocol. I work one trap while Ben works another. Right away, I get another one.
Oh, yes.
It's a male.
Feisty little guy. So vocal. Oh, with a beautiful purple chin and bright green head.
This one is a black-chinned hummingbird. There's no rest. As soon as I take one bird over to Susan at the processing table, there are 3 more waiting for me on the trap.
It's not even 6 a.m. and we've already caught a dozen of these. Oh, this one's going to be hard, I can tell. There we go.
As it gets later in the day, we even start capturing the same birds over again. A good sign that this process isn't causing the birds too much stress.
Oh, such a sweet sound. Wow. Okay.
At the table, there's a circular stand, like a mini drying rack, where we've been hanging each bird in their mesh bag.
Okay, this next bird is a BBLH, male H1 with a band.
Susan is wearing a big pair of optician's goggles. The volunteers are all lined up at the table, each with a task to do. They examine the overall condition of the bird.
No pollen, 0 fat.
And using calipers to measure beak lengths and the size of the flight feathers.
And it's a 72 wing chord.
They record everything carefully with an old-fashioned pen and paper, and then enter it into a database on a laptop. Then they use crimpers to ever so carefully put a band on the bird's leg with a unique letter code.
Okay, now this is a RIHU, male H1, unbanded.
Then Susan asks me to switch from capturing to weighing the birds after she's measured and tagged them. We process bird after bird like this. Even Henry Ford would be proud of this assembly line. Susan wraps one of the birds in a bit of cloth to keep it comfortable and still, and hands it to me.
Wrap him up nice and tight. A little hummingbird burrito.
There you go.
8.29.
8 grams. That's about the same weight as the plastic cap on your soda bottle. It's a bit hard to keep up, to be honest. Susan is setting a fast pace. We've got lots of birds to get through today. In all the buzz, I forget to reset the scale to 0.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, I'm slacking, Susan.
You are.
You're kind of scary, do you know that? You're kind of scary, I don't want to mess up. Okay, you're all set. We're at 0.
It's stressful for the team, and I'm sure for at least some of the birds. But it's the only way to collect data like this, collected over decades. Banding studies like this one are already telling an important story. They show hummingbirds are starting to shift their range to match where the flowers are going. Rivoli's hummingbirds used to only travel as far north as the US-Mexico border. Now they're seen in Phoenix, and even as far as Flagstaff, 450 miles north of their normal range. With these shifts, there are a lot of unknowns. Each species needs something slightly different, and we don't yet know how adaptable they are. Can they just move somewhere else for food? Will they get along with the hummingbirds who already live there?
The black-chinned might be pushing the broad-tailed, and if the broad-tailed is already at the high elevations, where do they go? Or are they able to coexist? Who's the stronger competitor? Those types of things will affect the distribution of hummingbird species.
Susan is here to do anything she can to help the beautiful birds she's devoted to.
We think one of the most important conservation issues facing hummingbirds and all pollinators are the restoration of the nectar landscape.
Completely restoring the nectar landscape means reversing climate change. That's unlikely to happen anytime soon. So in the meantime, Susan helps at a smaller scale. She uses the data she's gathered to reveal important locations on the birds' migration routes and gaps between habitats, and has created a program to encourage people to plant favourite hummingbird flowers in those spots, often in their own gardens, plants like desert honeysuckle and penstemon. And she helps city and county governments to plant parks with the flowers that hummingbirds specialise in pollinating.
We've had it before.
Back at the processing table, the last step before letting the bird go is to give it a good drink of sugar water, a bit of fuel before facing the world again. A team member hands me one that's ready to be released. Oh, gorgeous. Which species is this one?
This is a broad-billed hummingbird. It's a male.
I hold the tiny creature's wings gently against its body, between my thumb and forefinger. And I bring its head close to the opening on the feeder. Okay, sweetheart. Like that?
Very good.
Oh my goodness.
There you
straight
go.
in. Right away, the hummingbird's tiny throat muscles start pumping away, and it guzzles down the water.
It's a little low, though. It really needs a good drink.
You can almost watch him grow in strength as he gulps. My broad-billed hummingbird, my new favourite creature on earth. And then I open my hand, and like a shot, off it goes. At 5 hours, we stop, as per Susan's protocol. In total, we've banded 90 hummingbirds this morning. Very successful. 90 more birds for her to track and learn from and help. She'll do this at 4 other locations this year to see which birds show up where and when. To me, the studies and the science bring us full circle back to the fact that these little birds are simply magnificent. Arizona has brought me closer to the hummingbirds I already loved. It's easy to understand why so many people come here from all over the world to see them. Some of them end up volunteering for Susan, like I did.
I've had so much fun over the years because I have grown men who will have the opportunity to release a hummingbird, and their adult persona drops and you see that little boy in them. And they just have a way to get to you.
Hummingbirds have this ability to take us from the miniature to the massive. They've mastered ways to fit into the landscape, from a nest on the twig of a tree to a nectar landscape 1,000 miles long. They inspire us to carefully watch their world and ours at every scale.
I really do think our world's at a tipping point, and we've got to pay attention to that part of the natural world that still captures our imagination.
They really do, don't they? Yeah. Mm-hmm. You must feel like you are introducing that magic to people all the time.
You know, I could be showing them a dung beetle, and they would not respond, right? I mean, you could give a fascinating story, you could tell everything, but the person is not captured by what I'm saying. They're captured by the hummingbird.
What do you think that we as humans can learn from hummingbirds?
Beauty matters.
Beauty matters. I wasn't expecting that from a data-driven scientist like Susan, but I guess that's the point. She's found a path that marries wonder with scientific discovery through the planet's smallest birds. And maybe it's this beauty that captures all of us, makes us care, not just about the hummingbirds and what they need, but the bigger picture we're all a part of, like saving the Earth and its vast, intricate ecosystems. Hummingbirds have been around long enough to also find their own paths. 20 million years of evolution has made sure of it. And that path is constantly changing. Harold, Susan and Ben are on the front edge of understanding where that path is headed. Now it's our turn to listen to what these tiny creatures are teaching us. If we can keep up with them, of course. Thanks for listening to The Wild. If you like what you hear, share it. Tell a friend about the podcast or leave us a rating and review. It helps. And don't miss an episode. Subscribe. It's free and easy. And as always, there are some great photographs and clips from our travels on Instagram at Chris Morgan Wildlife. The Wild is a production of KUOW in Seattle and Chris Morgan Wildlife, with support from Wildlife Media. Matt Martin produced this episode. Jim Gates is our editor. Writing for this episode by Christopher Preston. Fact-checking by April Craig. Our theme music is by Michael Parker. Additional music from MusicBed and Blue Dot Sessions. The Wild is hosted, produced and written by me, Chris Morgan. A very special thank you for their kind financial support to Jill and Scott Walker, Rose Letwin, Ellen Ferguson, the Isdell family, Anna Kimball, Barbara Stallman, John Taylor, Paul Lister, Bob Yellowlease and John and Julie Hanson. Thanks for listening. Take care of yourselves and nature so that nature can take care of you like she does every day.